ozone, which is a very powerful cellular poison and a very powerful respiratory irritant. Right, so why am I going on and on about this? Because that kind of air pollution is linked to preterm birth. So when you have a lot of air pollution in a community, more women will give birth too soon, and the children born to those women will have these very vulnerable lungs. And then, of course, at the same time, if they live in those communities, those same kids with very vulnerable lungs are also breathing in more air pollution. And so their risks for asthma, both because of their prenatal exposures of their mothers, but also because of their day-to-day air pollution that they're breathing, is higher. And we have really good data now on the effect of air pollution on the triggering of childhood asthma. And childhood asthma is the #1 cause of school absenteeism. It's the #1 cause of children going to the emergency room. So it adds a lot of rocks to the pocket of our healthcare system, and it's a problem for our schools. So I'll mention one other child development issue associated with fracking. So I know there's a couple child development classes here tonight, and then I'll close with just a little brief reading. And that has to do with brain development. So the brain develops a little bit sooner than the lung. It reaches its peak of development in months 4 to 5 of pregnancy. And that's when all of these neurons start getting connected together. And so what we worry about are chemicals that have the power to interfere with the migration of fetal neurons, because the way your brain forms is, it's like spiders at a quilting bee, right? So you have all these neurons, and so do other animals, but what the hallmark of our humanity is not that we have so many more neurons than everybody else, it's just that we have so many more connections between them. So in between months 4 and 5, sort of amazing thing happens. So all the neurons inside the skull of the baby start moving and migrating, all the brain cells. Our brain cells right now and our adult brains are just sitting there quietly, doing their work. They're not like traveling. But fetal neurons move like spiders that rappel down the length of their own silicon fiber. And then they meet other spider cells and spin big webs of connections between them. So that's how you got your brain. And that whole process went on between when your mom was 4 months pregnant with you and up until about your 3rd birthday. And then it continued refining up until you're about 25 years old. So some of you still have actively forming neurons. And the frontal lobe, the part where you have the ability to defer impulsive behaviors and have good judgment, that's the very last part, and that's the wisdom. That's true. That's the very last part to develop. And that's why they don't let you rent cars before you're 25 years old. Right? There's a good biological reason for that. There's neurons are still making their connection in the frontal lobe that gives you perspective and judgment and ability to defer gratification and all the other stuff. And so we're really worried about chemicals that have the power to interfere with all that migration and connect.